All right, guys. I'm excited to go through the program. Bear with me here. I'm going to go through a lot. The biggest key is we're going to be creating customizations. We are going to be doing some injury monitoring, protection. So we want to make sure that we have a good process of what to provide us in a text thread because we're constantly making updates and changes to the training. And then, given that you're going to have some school responsibilities for your own training, we're going to prioritize things that you pick. And then, when there's pockets where we can do the complete program, that would be great. And we went through a lot of your video. We found one that we were able to really analyze and see that, direction, separation, those are really important things. The sequencing is huge. The core control, we're going to have a lot of those so that we improve accuracy and we're able to improve velocity because of how well we're going to sync up. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to our desktop 3. I'm going to go through some Amazon stuff that I think is going to be really helpful for you, just kind of moving the needle in the performance side of things. But going to our website is the first thing I want you to do. I want you to download some of our free packets because we're trying to round out some things that we don't have experts, but I do have some resources that are going to help you, particularly these three. Download these guys. This is going to give us some opportunity for you to learn critical mindset approaches. We provide emails each week that's got a little e-blast with a tip, and kind of just reinforces all these things that we think are important for our players to get their mindset right. The shake guide is important because that's going to help with lean mass development. Okay, and they're pretty solid as far as increasing your caloric intake. It's supplement free. We also have MLB approved and college approved supplements. We have deals with those, so we get discounts for our athletes. I really would encourage you to communicate with us in terms of what you're taking, and we'll find you a more pure supplement at a lower cost to take. That, going on, you want to be able to, wherever you go, college, if it's pro ball, you want to have a sustainable habit. And then the critical fueling pointers. This is important. I'd like for you to do that. You're going to highlight foods that you eat twice a week in different areas, and then I want you to communicate to me what areas that you don't have more than 3 foods, because then we'll know where we need to improve any potential vitamin or mineral imbalance. Most athletes, I think they're getting enough carbs. They may not be getting enough protein, and they're getting enough fats, but the micronutrient part, that's an issue. So it's pretty easy to go and download these. You put your name, phone number in, location. You don't have to tell us a story, but you go and submit it, and we'll be good to go there. All right. So let's get to the program. All right. So when we go to the program, we got this happening here. I'm going to lay out some key areas. So Sundays are a recovery day, okay? And it's going to look like a lot. We're building habits. But this part, I really want us to focus on resetting. Each day has a consistent top half of the program before we get to training. So I'm going to go through this. It's going to be consistent with every one of them. There's a check-in, okay? In the check-in section, all right, we want to be able to indicate our body weight in the morning, okay? So that's important. I recommend having 2 bottles of water worth of hydration. Try not to drink out of plastic bottles, though. Just so that we can start hydrating. We're blowing up the cell size. More amino acids go in. We get bigger and stronger. Okay, doing that. So hydration is key. Then you go through a checklist. Okay, and this is before you train. How is your sleep? How did your throwing arm feel and your body feel? So when we have low scores on all of those, all right, I have a little note. If the scores are low, drop to 1 set on everything. And if it's a 1 set exercise, do half. We don't want to overwork the body. All right. So that's really important to start the day. Now you have that packet, and some of the things I see in athletes, especially ones that might get over revved up or they're a little bit more self-critical. Big thing that I want to do is go through the critical mindset packet, go to the affirmations and mantra section, and let's develop one. Okay, one where you get in the mirror and say, "Man, I'm ready for the day." Or I have a player that says, "I am that guy." I have another one that's had injuries. It's going to be, I think, a future first rounder. And he says, "I'm the right guy at the right time." Something to get the mind right for the day. Now, beetroot juice, I want you to try 8 ounces before you leave the house. That's going to get a lot of more blood flow to your arm. And if that's a problem, what we'll do is we'll create a mix. There's some powders that you can take that will help you with circulation. We need your arm to heal. We're going to be giving it a lot. Okay. Soft tissue care. I'll go over here. We have a deal with a company called Revival Organics. Excuse me, and we believe in this. Okay. It increases the transdermal circulation. So we have three different types with the roll-ons. The first one to leave the house is the purple. Okay. And the next roll-on that we use, okay, and this goes before throwing, is the green Revival. It's really strong. It's got organic magnesium. It's got a non-medicinal CBD, but CBD helps with pain. Okay. And then we have the Soul Serenade. That's an extended release that we have at night, okay, for sleeping. And we have a code for you. Just make sure you inquire about it so that we have this because we want your arm to recover. And I'm constantly looking for the right topicals, and a lot of those out there, they have chemicals. So this one is great. I've been really happy with how it's worked so far, and I even got hit in the thumb catching with an 85-mile-an-hour changeup, and my thumb blew up like a pickle. And it definitely improved without ice. Every 15 minutes I applied it, and it reduced back down to its normal size, so it evacuated the fluid, and it didn't discolor all that much. So I've used it. I buy into it, man. It's a big deal. So going back to the plan, okay, we've got that soft tissue purple salve happening. And then on days where we have more intense throwing work, okay, what we have there is we have an arm care routine. We're going to do an arm care activation. So we're going to be getting our arms, activated. It's all video integrated in here on the app. Okay. So we'll do all our training on the RC13 platform, all our testing, okay, on the arm care platform. And then after we do the activation, if it's a mound day or a high intensity throwing day, what we're going to do is we're going to test the arm. Okay. We're going to do a fresh exam. When you do a fresh exam, you're going to post your arm care data, okay, to our group. So I'll just show you a player that has just done this actually this morning. So I'll pull this up, 5 photos. I'll bring this over so you can see what we want to take a look at. Okay, so we're going to make sure you're on the arm care platform, the front facing SVR. We need to see that button. You're going to hit the shoulder balance button. You'll hit the arm strength button, screenshot that so we see all of those. Then what there's two other ones. So this one's recovery. So that's in the top right. So you're gonna hit the recovery button. So we're gonna have all of these, and then at the bottom there's a section that says and there's a little icon that says analytics. I want you to drop in the fresh exam analytics so that we can see what that looks like, okay, for our strength. And so that's a big one. So that we do that, we're now modifying the throwing program, especially if it's a bullpen session. We're able to tell you based on what you need for your throwing arm. Now, after that, you've done the arm care testing, you're getting into your throwing program preparation drills. For you, I have some that help counter rotation, pulling, getting yourself loaded. And then after your throwing, after your preparation and drills and your throwing program, which will be integrated in your plan, we'll be putting this in. You're going to have an opportunity to do a post exam, and let me pull out the post exam. Okay, so the post exam, let me grab it here. It will be essentially this button. So I'll pull this over. You're going to hit this button, okay, which is the fatigue one in the middle. So we got this. And so it's going to tell us which muscles may be fatiguing, and that will help us scale The next bullpen, your next throwing days, and also what the training is going to happen after. We'll make those adjustments, okay? And then there's this button at the bottom, the analytics button. I want to just make sure that you see this. We want to make sure, okay, this is the analytics button. We go here to get our exams. All right. So we have our fresh exams. We have our post exams in there. We also have our primer. So we just do the exams for testing. We get in the analytics. Okay. We do all the training in RC13. And then so I'm going to show you the next analytics button here. Okay. This is what we want to see on the post exam. That way we're going to be able to see how much you're fatiguing over a 5 day, a five test window. Okay. That gives us a good understanding of your trends. All right. So that's what happens on a high intensity throwing day, whether a mound or a velo day. All right. We want to be able to take a look at that. Now I'm gonna delete all the drawings. So at the bottom of this day on Sundays, okay, what we have is soft tissue work. I'd like for you to commit to it, work on your soft tissue, work on foam rolling and tennis ball rolling. It's going to realign your tissues. It's going to make sure that you don't have any kind of um, adhesions, things that get tight and sticky. So I want to be able to do that because there's a lot to provide you here. Okay. So now the next, let's go down a little bit more is the checkout. And this is consistent with all of them too. I would like for you to get in the habit after your days to do some arm biking. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to show you the arm bike. All right. Here we go. It's inexpensive. You put it on a table and we're just cycling. We're going to drive a lot more blood into our arms because our legs aren't having to do anything. So all that blood from our heart's going to our arms. We want to be able to do that, flush the arm out that way. And then there's a checklist at the end. If you threw or you did speed training or if you hit, which I don't think that applies, or you lifted weights, the biggest thing for us is to be able to get your rating on the day, and we check those things to make sure that we're examining exertion and we're evaluating how we can make adjustments, to your training going forward to look at the intensity and the effort level that you have displayed. Okay, so that is happening daily on your training. Now, the rest of this is we talked about the shakes. I showed you where to get that. We want to make sure we have that. Now, we have dietitians that really boost lean mass, but let's see what we do with the shake guide. Then we use that green salve again, get the healing going on, more circulation, and then we do a body weight after we're hydrated. The biggest thing when we got a lean mass situation, or even health and prevent injury, is we want to make sure that we're hydrating really well. So testing your body weight, looking at it at night, inputting it in the app is going to be great because all this stuff gets pushed to the app. Then evening routine, we have cherry juice. I like to have that because that helps with inflammation and also help with sleep, and making sure that that's 2 hours before bed. And just make sure too, if you're on blood thinners, beetroot juice, get a doctor's approval for that. If you're allergic to any of these things, make sure that you are speaking to somebody about that. Make sure you can take those things or alleviate them. Let us know. We'll find an alternative. And then we got this blue salve, and then having a visualization practice, going towards the mental skills packet, having a gratitude element, visualization as far as thinking about your day. If it didn't go well on the field, let's revisit that in our mind and think about how does this look like if I can change it in the way I viewed the situation, or if a fan saw me, and you can see yourself succeeding in a situation didn't work, we got to reset to positivity the next day. Okay, so those front and back ends are the same each day because I want you to develop these habits. All right. Now, going on to the programming, I want you to do what you can. If you're doing lifts with the team, I want you to focus on the arm training part of this. Okay, so the top part. So we talked about what to do on the top half of these programs. Now we're getting to the strength and coordination programs. We have hands on the floor exercises that help with your shoulder blade stabilization. We have elbow stabilization exercises, okay, and custom block exercises for your shoulder fixing imbalances. What I have here is I'm telling you what arms you're going to click, and there'll be a little separator, divider. They'll tell you what arms do what on what days. So Monday, we want to work on your glove arm. Okay. Wires in on the brain. First of all, we need a good glove arm for rotation. But second of all, it's giving us a lot more juice okay, to our throwing arm while it's resting because the opposite side of the brain lights up when you work on one limb at a time. So we go through this. There's a strength and coordination section where I have some motion from the ground all the way to the fingertips. There's also now a lower body lift day. Now you may be training with a team, so you might not do this one, but ideally it'd be great to be able to get all this in because we want to stimulate lean mass and we want to train you athletically and we want to program you based on the needs that you have mechanically. So there's some things in here that I would like for you to eventually tackle. But there's also range of motion. We have a very consistent approach to our range of motion because a lot of the ball joints, shoulder, hips, they tend to get tight, and we need to make sure that we have good mobility. A third of the program is mobility, and then we talked about the bottom half of the days. Okay, previously they're the same. Now Tuesday, what we're doing is a throwing arm training day. We'd like this in any of the training, we'd like it after your throwing programming. Obviously, you'll see the order of it. But now we're focusing on your throwing arm because ideally we would want this as one of your high intensity days. Monday would be a lighter throw day. Tuesday, I would like for you to be a higher intensity throw day. Okay. And this would be one where we would want to use the arm care device before and after the throwing event. Okay. Where it'd be a mound day, a bullpen day, a pitch development day. That would be very, very important for us. We need to have that data and details. Now we have the training that's throwing arm specific. Okay. But on this day is where we also put the upper body training because we want to be able to maximize the recovery and also maximize the endurance of our muscles by having more of a dosage of our upper extremities. Okay. There is a rhythmic part where we're using a plyo ball and making sure that we have a lot of blood flow back in the arm. You're going to see that. And then range of motion, and then the bottom half of the day. Okay. Wednesdays, we have a speed and agility quickness day. We got to work on body speed. We got to work on hitting the ground fast, coordinating fast. Generally, we don't pick up a ball on Wednesday. We let the arm recover because it's unloaded. And then we have some spin rate training that we're working on finger pressure. You can see that. And then another larger range of motion day. We want the tissues to be more elastic rather than breaking up adhesions on Sundays. Okay. Now, Thursdays, what we're going to be looking at here is a glove arm only because we're preparing for Friday as our highest intensity throwing day. So we have another set of exercises there in range of motion. Okay. Now, Fridays is where we plan to have that next bullpen. There's some throwing drills built in. Don't worry about these because we use these as placeholders to be able to put the throwing programming in. Okay, you'll see a tease, that's throwing. Okay, so we have these. We're going to be adjusting these for you. And then what we have is our throwing arm only day. Now, some of these days I like to get testing in. Okay, now don't worry about this if we don't have an ability to test, but we try to get this in at various times. Just ignore it for now, okay, until we progress a little bit in our programming, but I have it in there as a placeholder. Now, speed, agility, quickness training, we have some of these, some of them on Fridays, it's very short because we want to be able, it might be plyometrically driven, it might be jump based, but we want to have that in there. And then we have a total body workout, okay? Now, again, if you got like things happening, at the school for your lift, I just want you to focus in on the arm. Let's get that stuff done. And maybe the mobility, if we can get the speed, agility in, great. If you don't have training that day, we could get in a total body workout. Unbelievable. We have hybrid training afterwards. So there's some things that we're doing that are a little bit more intense that we're doing at the end of it, but more stabilized. Okay. I don't want to wear you out too much at the beginning of your training. And then we have our range of motion. And then the back halves. Now, Saturday is an optional arm care day. If you have the time, I'd like for you to do it. It would be great to keep boosting it. And the beginning half of the day, but now we have both arms. And I want those arms to be a little bit quicker, okay? And what they do. I think that's going to be hugely important, okay? So it'd be a lighter band resistance. I'd even say if it's light enough that you can do 3 shakes, where you're vibrating it 3 times at the end of each rep, we're going to build a little bit of muscle quickness. And then there's a little more plyo ball routine with the perturbation or the vibration, okay, that may be an easier word to drive blood in. Okay, and then that we have the same ending, and then we come back to Sunday again as a recovery day. I'm going to go into a little bit of technique. I want to go through some exercises like these ones are going to be on the app, and there'll be some guidance to follow. So let's watch this a little bit. You can see it's pretty slow loading. When we get into a hinge, I'll go down to the bottom and we'll be able to stop it. Okay, right there. That's my stop point. Sorry, I'll come back a little bit. Okay, you can see that I'm not going down all the way. All right, and the biggest thing for me is that I want to make sure I'm going to get the drawing tool. There's a nice line all the way through my shoulders, my hips and my head. Don't want my neck going everywhere because we're going to have a lot of hinge-based programming. I'm also whatever leg I'm working on, there's a slight flexion at the knee. All right? I don't have my legs completely locked. That's a lot of stress on the hamstring even when you do this with two legs. The key I'm trying to think about is sticking my butt back as far as I possibly can while keeping my back as a tabletop. You're gonna feel a point where at the hamstring, you're like, oof, that's probably as far as I can go. I get a pretty good stretch. That's where I want you to stop. And I want you to use a little bit lighter weight, if you can on this to begin. Okay. So that's just looking at a hinge movement. The next one, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on our programming. Rotation. We got to work on this. You're going to see a lot of our training is going to be the same leg and the same arm. All right. You can see too that I'm trying to use my leg as a guidance tool of where I'm pressing out from or even pulling from. And let's progress this a little bit more because I want to show you how I'm getting like full rotation. You see the hands driving back when we have rotation. So my counter movement hand. This is important here. This hand right here is aligned with my armpit. I'm actually crossing, okay, the midline of my body to try to stay closed. We need to make sure that we're doing that in your programming, okay? So that's an important root position. If the hand's just straight out right in front of me, I'm just trying to say it's like straight out in front of me to rotate, I'm not going to get as much, okay? I'm not going to get as much. So I want to be able to counter rotate. That's a big piece. All right. Now, let's go to another one. Um, I'm showing you this one. This is one I wanted to focus on. What I want to be able to do on days that you have your throwing arm training or even your glove arm training. Okay. I always have a hand over my heart. If this is a Monday, meaning my glove arm is training, I don't want you, because Tuesday and Friday are hard, I don't want you to make a fist, okay, over your heart because I don't want to activate the forearm too much or fatigue it. But on Saturdays, if we're doing single arm work, I want you to squeeze the fist over your heart as possible. Okay. But my hand is always at my chest. It's not out to the side. Okay. Because I'm trying to use my core as well as my lower legs to stabilize. Now, this is something I want you to see too. I want to improve the way you're bracing. And instead of having the knee, I'm going to use a different color so you can see this easily. Okay, instead of having the knee aligned with the ankle, you can see that my knee is aligned really with the back of my heel. My knees slightly extended. So I don't have my knees bent right over in like what is a traditional 90 position, 90-degree knee flexion as a lunge. I want my knee behind my heel. And what I want to be able to do, I have my toes in the ground here, is that I'm pushing this way with that foot and I'm pushing away from the ground with my front foot. I'm creating a scissor always. Okay. And we're even going to do this when we're in split stance, elevated, to think about, can I rip the ground apart between my feet? That's going to activate and stabilize the lower body really well. And it's going to feed us a little bit more juice to the arm. Now, I'm bringing you down to the ground in some of these so we don't use a ton of legs and we have to focus on the arm. But the other big key for this is I have a really strong fist. When we have the bands, I want you to use bands with handles and I want to squeeze the heck out of it so that we can get a ton of strength. Okay. So, this has been an important piece on the training side. What I want you to do is we're going to have you train for a little while and then set ourselves an onboarding meeting. And I'm going to go through some more performance accelerators that are in addition to your training. But I want to get the ground running, and have you have an ultimate amount of success. So I'm excited to get after it, and keep our communication going, and make sure that you get where you need to be, and we're going to iron out your goals. Thanks.